Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's video is going to be about the growing potential for a rather significant snowstorm across the country. The models have kind of edged their forecasts towards a little bit more aggressive snowstorm. There's still some discrepancy, pretty significant discrepancy between the models, but we'll all get that sorted out and talked about during this video. So if you would like to like this video, subscribe to this channel, that would really just be awesome, especially liking the video. That just always helps. And if you're a recurring viewer and you watch my videos, just don't forget to like the video. It really helps out. And thank you for that. So let's get into this. Right now we're looking at the global forecasting system. You can see this was the snowfall amounts from this morning's GFS model run. Pretty significant. I mean, a couple days ago I was showing you there was dwindling amounts of snow. Not really big amounts, but again, I was saying that these amounts would increase as the storm had a lot of potential within, and of course it increased it. You notice that there's a lot of 9 to up to 12 inches of snow, 12-inch snow amounts across the country. However, though, the GFS has trended a little bit less snowfall with its latest model run. You can see, I mean, there's some pockets of significant snow right there. It's a little bit further to the south, and it's a little bit less impressive. However, they're going to continue switching this around, but it seems like the potential is definitely growing for a storm system, and it seems as if it will be on its way. So that's definitely something that's important in terms of the actual forecast. So let's look at some of the latest GFS model run. Let's look at that model run, and let's take a closer look at that. So let's precipitation, MSLP, and precip. Let's take this one by one, looking at the latest model run. So right now we have a big soaker to the south. You can see lots of rain in the southern U.S., Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina getting a doozy of rain. That moves off the coast. It does do nothing for the northeast. I mean, no snowstorm nor nor'easter, and it would be too warm anyways. Notice though, however, by the Christmas time, look, there's really not much going on across the country. We have a system across the west, which is that snowstorm possibility that's going to spread into the Midwest. It's starting to get itself organized. It sends out a little wave right there. You could see into the country, zooming through Minnesota, North Dakota, into southern Canada. Then we see a bigger storm, and this is kind of like right here. We get that initial organization right there. And look, that thing really quickly dives into the U.S. The Gulf of Mexico is open, as it's basically just, basically free for anything. I mean, we've been looking at very warm temperatures. That's why it's very warm. The Gulf of Mexico has just been fuming in these warm temperatures, as well as the Pacific, really. And when these two combine, they could create some pretty nice, nasty storms. So if we were to look at this, notice that we have some heavy snow across Kansas, Missouri. Well, whether or not this would be occurring at this exact place or over this exact timing, that's yet to be determined still. But it looks as if it's going to be pretty snowy and wintry across this time frame of Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that next week, or this week if you want to call Sunday the start of this week. You'll notice that we see a nice band starting to form, though it kind of gets it's separated into Wisconsin, Iowa, into Kansas. It kind of loses itself over Iowa, and you can see it kind of gets disconnected. A lot of precip in terms of rain, and then it starts kind of reinforming another band of snow, and then it re-intensifies just off the northeast, or just off to the north of the northeast. And again, that is still yet to be determined as whether or not that will be more impactful for the northeast or not. Delivers a nice cold shot of air, and then after that the pattern just changes. You could see just colder temperatures coming in with several clippers possibly. So that's a big system right there, and that's interesting as we'll see it just starting to develop and get closer to time and see what will actually be occurring with what the weather models will do with it. I showed you the snowfall models. Let's go to the Canadian model. Canadian model is often used for snowstorms as well. It is pretty good. I would say it's better for snowstorms than it is for air masses, though. It's not usually one of the models I look towards in terms of snowstorms, though I would say it's definitely one of the major ones. So in terms of long range, at least you can see still has a very powerful system off the Southern California coast. This thing kind of zooms in through here, and that will deliver lots of rain for California, Vegas, for Christmas, Los Angeles, and all those cities and areas will be seeing quite a bit of rain across Christmas time and a couple days after. So that's a little bit interesting. Notice we see a big system developing on the CMC model across Colorado, Utah, Texas, Kansas just gets a doozy of snow as well, and it's pretty powerful as well. This doesn't really do much once it gets into the central plains or the Midwest. You can see it's still producing snow across Kansas. It kind of gets elongated, extends itself, gets a little bit of snow into the northern U.S. or into the eastern U.S., the East Coast, New York, possibly Long Island. So you can see it's a little bit of a different scenario than what the other models were showing. Notice this low pressure right here would be strengthening, it kind of like a separate one coming from the Gulf of Mexico right here. And that one really possibly could turn into a nor'easter, maybe if it was a little bit more closer onshore. We'll see. It has a little bit of a different scenario, a little bit more widespread snow, but it's a little bit softer amounts, lighter amounts, not as heavy and concentrated across some areas. Other than, I mean, yeah, that was pretty right there. Just look at that. That's actually ridiculous. If that were to actually happen, I want to show you the gradient of that. It's not even the amount, it's just like, look at the gradient. So you could be living right there in that county, to central Kansas, 32 inches. A couple counties over 3 inches. So yeah, those are just horrifying, I guess, for a meteorologist, horrifying scenarios, as it's basically impossible to predict exactly where this will set up. But that's like a 30-inch gradient right there, which is just horrendously hard to predict. Nevertheless, this is a Canadian model, so it still shows a snowstorm, not to the same significance as the GFS, well, depending for where you live at least, a little bit less widespread, I should say, though, and more isolated, and more kind of connected. You can see this is the GFS, it shows a bigger path, and it's a little bit less. The 60 across model run, you can see it was even more widespread, just a little bit less amounts. Now let's go to the European. The European is a little bit of a weird model. It's kind of an outlier. It's it kind of develops the system really late compared to the other models. Develops it around the 186, 198 time frame into Monday, while the GFS develops it into Friday and Saturday. So that's a little bit weird. Notice that it's mostly rain as it goes up to Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it starts transitioning to snow across Minnesota, and then it kind of just sits there for a little bit. It doesn't really do much. Snowfall amounts not really great with this, but they're definitely indicating a big storm, a big snowstorm. So or the European is indicating towards a big storm possibility, definitely there. A couple of days ago, it was barely showing this snowstorm at all. So now it has adjusted a little bit. So, you know, that kind of shows us that basically we're getting a little bit of adjustment from the European, and maybe it's on to something on the right track. But if we were to look through this, hopefully this could load a little bit quicker. Notice plenty of snow for Alberta, ridiculous amounts, probably up to 40, 50. Not Alberta, sorry, British Columbia, ridiculous amounts. And a little bit of clippers across the northern southern plains of Canada and into the Ontario, Toronto, those areas. Ottawa and Montreal, possibly seeing a little bit of snow. Toronto's further to the south, but possibly seeing a little bit of snow. And then if we look through the European model, you can see they don't put out too much snow, but it's there. So you can see it drops a lot across the mountains. So for skiers that are going for Colorado or Utah, for the holidays, it's definitely good, as you know, many people do that over the holidays, and it seems like there will be some good snow. So that's good for you guys. Otherwise though, that's the main models that we had to cover. Most of them are showing a little bit of a pattern break after that. Let's go to the European and show you what it shows. So the bluer colors are the cooler temperatures. The greeners are kind of the moderate, and yellow is just warm. Notice we were in very warm temperatures, above average, then we start seeing a little bit of a shift, and after that storm what the European brings in right here, 994, we start seeing a possible more of a cool off, and definitely not as warm as what we've been seeing or will be seeing across Christmas time. So that would just be, you know, ridiculous if that were to continue, and doesn't seem like it will. You could see it pulls in some of that colder air. The GFS model does a very similar thing, just a little bit earlier, as again they're not agreeing about the timing of the snowstorm. It doesn't happen too often where they don't agree like viciously. I mean, they don't agree about the timing of that snowstorm at all. That's the thing. And it's not just a couple of hours, it's literally a few days, which is a little bit weird. But it may be showing two completely different storms. It's two models. It's just tough to tell, really. But notice, if we were to look at the GFS right there, that's that big system coming through. That would, again, deliver a cool shot right there, a nice cool shot of air. And then towards the longer range, we start seeing this nasty lobe getting further and further to the south, with becoming more and more ready for potential displacement, which would lead to very, very cold temperatures. If we were to look at the 500 millibar height anomaly, notice the blue colors are definitely there. They are bound and they are ready. They are southbound. And before that happens, which we still aren't sure of, we get several bouts of, some chillier temperatures, especially followed by those systems. But we could be in a prolonged period of chill if this were to occur. So yeah, again, not looking, the warm temperatures are going to look for maybe up to New Year's, and that's about it. They're going to be pretty short-lived, 8 days up from now. They should be mainly dissipating, which 8 days is a lot, but remember, last year, December was basically the whole month warm. This year, it's been only the last 10 days, really. So thank you. It's the last 10 days of December, not the last 10 days from now. I want to make that clear. But thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. I really like making these videos for you. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. So see ya. Bye.